once again in front of you, and I'm going with the CBSE class 12, the second chapter, Lost Spring, which is taken from Stories of Stolen Childhood, very much written by Anish Jung. Fine, let's move on further. As you are well aware with the word Lost Spring, here the author is talking about the various seasons, how spring has been connected with childhood. Now let us have a quick look for the author. Anish Jung is an Indian female author, journalist and columnist who writes for major newspaper in India and abroad. She was born in Rourkela and belonged to an aristocratic family in Hyderabad. Right, so here if I talk about the present chapter, that is the Lost Spring written by Anish Jung, talks at shame of children being forced to live exploitation, right? So here these children, those who are exploited to much extent, right? So this is what we are going to read about these two people, Saib Alam and Mukesh. So we have two different stories over here. So how they are burdened of poverty and illiteracy, that is very much mentioned in this chapter. So here first of all let us relate with the first chapter, first part of the story, and that which is the protagonist of the story is Saib Alam, and then he is a person, this story is related to the rag picking, right? So now see, as the title goes, Lost Spring, so we can relate the various stages of human life with the various seasons. Summer is related to youth, whereas spring is childhood. Autumn is middle age and winter is old age, right? So loss of childhood means that loss of freedom to enjoy, involvement in manual jobs, physical and mental sufferings, and the people, those who do not get any education. Fine, so this is what we are going to deal with today. Now, let us talk about the theme and the title. The Lost Spring has a tinge of irony. Spring is the best season of year, and being full of color, fragrance and freshness, it's also a season of renewal and growth. While if we talk about, if we compare the season with the childhood of these children, which are mentioned over here in the chapter and the very first part, that is Saibe Alam. So the child is deprived of any kind of color, fragrance or freshness, right? The childhood of human life is often likened to spring, as it marks the beginning of human life and has a tremendous scope of growth, and it is full of joy, pleasure and play also, and children anywhere in the world are a source of great joy. But ironically, millions of children like Sahib and Mukesh, uh, they experience no spring in their lives. There is no enjoyment, no color, no fragrance in their life, right? And education, play and pleasure are not for them to enjoy at all, and they must work to support themselves and their families, right? So they are the part, they bear the responsibility. Thus the title brings out the depravity of child labor in a way, we can say that. Now see, very first thing is that if we we begin with the story, we get to know that these people, the people, those who live in slum, and specifically here we are talking about the Simapuri area, which is at the outskirts of Delhi. And here it is, we see that the people, most of the people, they are not the residents of Delhi or nearby places. They are the migrated people from Bangladesh, Dhaka, and then in general we can also talk about various reasons regarding why people do migrate, right? So people do migrate to earn money, people do migrate for the better opportunity. Fine, so there can be various reasons of the migration, but here in this chapter if we talk about, since these people, the family of Sahib Alam, they were because of the storm in their country, their fields and their houses were swept away and they did not have anything. So for the livelihood, they migrated to Delhi and started living at the outskirts of Delhi, which is called as Simapuri. Now here Lost Spring is a fascinating and relevating description of the lives of poverty-stricken children in India, and it escapes from being a dry report about child labor because evaluating language, right? It's about children coming to cities to work as rag picker or cleaners or servers furnaces where they are exposed to health hazard. The most important thing is, if you see the picture, no, see the kind of environment it is there. It is not at all, I don't think it is healthy in any of the ways, right? So they are forced to live under these kind of circumstances and these kind of environment, we can call it, where they do not find any health into it. Now, how author encountered Sahib, right? So initially one morning, Ani Jung, she met author and she asked so many questions. She wanted to know why they are there and how come they are there, right? And in that case, she also asked why don't they go to school. But then she asked them, in case if she is going to open a school, are they going to coming to that school? So definitely Sahib says yes. That means that definitely he wishes to come to school. But then since there is no school nearby, so they are not going in any of the school. But then when after some days, when Sahib asked Anish Jung about the school, whether the school is ready or not, so that was the time when the author felt so much embarrassed, right? Because she now realized that how other people are also there, those who keep on promising these people like anything, and these promises prove to be hollow all the time, because these promises are never fulfilled. Now she meets and then questions about how it is hollow. And then when she asks the name, when she asks him the name Sahib, so he tells that his name is Sahib Alam. It is ironical because name and accidents also. If we talk about Sahib Alam, that means it is the king of the universe. And in no case Sahib was king of the universe. And he himself doesn't know the meaning of Sahib Alam. If in case if we get to know the meaning of his own name, he would never believe that he is the one. Fine. And he is one of the rag picker boys. Barefoot boys reflected extreme state of poverty. But with passage of time and degree of prosperity achieved, it reminded of a priest. And there is a small story. There is a small anecdote between in between the chapter where the author talks about how initially long back even wearing footwear was a matter of great pride. Children used to they used to pray in front of God to have a pair of shoes. But slowly the things have changed. Now in villages we can see that children, and especially the school children, they do wear socks and shoes. But these rag pickers, they are still shoeless. Now this is a metaphorical statement in the chapter Simapuri on periphery of Delhi, far away from it. That means this is metaphorically mentioned over here. Delhi being the capital of our country, it is much developed, considered to be much developed, and definitely there is no doubt that Delhi is much developed city. But when you compare it with Simapuri which is at the verge of, at the outskirts of Delhi, these are poles apart. Fine. Happy to live in a strange land which provides food grain than in their motherland without any grain, and rag pickers for elders, their daily bread and means of survival for children, a treasure of wonderful things. Definitely they are partners with their parents that help for the survival, because for them survival is the fittest, right? But then their eyes see something strange and wonderful things in these heap of rags also. Now, Sahib, he longs for his childhood. He wishes to enjoy pleasures of childhood. He wants to play tennis. He wants to wear shoes. And because of that, he yearned to have all these things. And this is the reason why he watched rich boys playing tennis. And then later on, at the verge of the story, Sahib's new vocation. He started working on tea stall. He earns 100 rupees per month and appears burdened and forlorn, and there is no freedom. Tin container was heavier than his rag picking bag. So this is the contrast. No doubt, if we talk about the physically weight, so definitely uh, the rag picker plastic bag must be heavier. But here, because that when he was a rag picker, that time he was all free. Fine, whatever he was doing, it was his wish. Fine, and he was the master of his own work. Now, but here when he is working on a tea stall, he is simply a servant. He has to act upon his master. Whatever the master asked him to do, he has to do it. So he is not free. He doesn't have any kind of freedom, right? This is the reason why he says, this is a metaphorically mentioned over here. Tin container was heavier than his rag picking bag. This is the contrast over here, and because he has to listen to his master. This is the reason. Otherwise, if we think in, or if we see according to the monetary, definitely 100 rupees, 800 rupees is a big amount, and apart from that he was given 2 times meal also, and so definitely in one go he was earning 800 rupees. But then this was not his own world. This was not what he wanted, right? He wanted the freedom, and this freedom was not possible here at working at this tea stall. Now let's see Sahib's life as a rag picker and a worker at tea stall. This is the contrast here. A garbage dump is a symbol of freedom for rag pickers. Master of his own life and enjoyed life, and full of wonders under the control of no one. Whereas steel canister is no longer master of his own life, and it is a monotonous and dull and under the control of the owner. He is not the master of his own world. So this is what the difference basically between when he was a rag picker and now he is working at a tea stall. So after this, the completion of this story, the first story, that is of Sahib rag picking. Let us move on to the figures of speech, which is also called as literary device and poetic device also. Now see, it is Aini. As I told you, the very first title is Ainical, right? Aini represent a contrast between how it should be and the reality. Here Sahib's name is in contrast with his real life, right? What is name, and what is the meaning of his name, and actually what is he doing, right? He was simply a rag picker, which was just inical, too much inical as compared to his name. Now let's move on to the antithesis, the periphery of Delhi but miles away from it, and what garbage means to the children and what is means to the elders. Now antithesis is the literary device where two opposite sentences are there. Understand? The periphery of Delhi, but miles away from it. Periphery here refers to nearby, right? But miles away from it. Now moving on to the metaphor, scrounging with gold. So here the rag picking is considered to be scrounging with gold. So metaphor is a poetic device where comparison is done without using like and as. So same thing is here. The rag picking is considered to be gold over here. Hyperbole, rag picking is described as a fine art. Hyperbole, that means exaggeration of something. So here rag picking is exaggerated as a fine art. Since these people have been working here and picking up the rags since long time and long years, so they have become mastered and they get to know the price actually, what to pick up and what not to pick up. Now moving on to the paradox, steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag. Paradox here refers to the poetic device where itself contrast is there. Fine. So I hope you all must have understood about the Aini, antithesis, metaphor, hyperbole and paradox. Now this is the story, the first story at a glance. Fine. So here it is, how lost brings something. I find a rupee in the garbage. Author's encounter with Sahib, promised to open a school, and then she felt embarrassed at making a hollow promise. Question him about his vocation of rag picking and advise him to go to school. Meets rag picker Sahib belonging to a refuge family from Bangladesh, and then you can see how it is ironical in the name and the existence, and how Sahib longs for childhood, and then finally he reaches to his new vocation where he doesn't have any freedom, and he finds that tin container was heavier than the rag picking bag. Fine. So this you can go with the, this is the way how you can understand the story in a nutshell. Thank you so much. Soon I'll meet you. This is Rekha Goyal.